everyone, and welcome back to the Rookies Podcast presented by Cosmos Sports and Entertainment. For those of you who are tuning in with us for the first time, my name is Olivia. I'm the manager of marketing and communications with Cosmos Sports, and I'm excited to be bringing you yet another season of our show. We have lots of good content coming your way this season, so thank you so much for joining us. To kick things off, let me introduce you all to my fellow guests for today's episode, starting with Evan O'Connor, who is the Director of Sales and Service with Cosmos. We have Michael Lorkovich, who is the Manager of Sales and Service with Cosmos, Mitchell Dumouchelle, who is the Director of Business Development and Design, and lastly, Jack McLean, who is one of our account executives for the fall internship semester here at Cosmos. So welcome, guys, to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Let's jump right into today's topic, which, as many of you know, has been taking the hockey world by storm. And I'm talking about the Seattle Kraken. So the Seattle Kraken is the newest team to join the NHL. They are currently sitting 1-3-1 is their record. And I think let's just start off by kind of breaking down the team. What are your thoughts? Do we like them? Do we not like them? I'll kind of pass it over to you guys.
Is this a season debut of the podcast for us? Are we on the first episode here?
Yeah.
Wow, what an honor. Yeah, I guess segueing to Seattle as well. I think it's kind of unfair because how well Vegas did last year, so it's kind of some lofty expectations, but I'd be very surprised if they even make playoffs, because basically when you're doing expansion draft, you get no top 6 players, and then you get the odd top 4 defenseman. They got lucky with the Grubauer signing, but he isn't Marc-Andre Fleury. But overall, it's pretty decent structure. They'll be kind of entertaining to watch. They're lucky they're in a bad division. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Pretty maybe hovering around a playoff spot?
Yeah, I think they'll hover around it. Like I only was able to watch the first game. I thought they had a lot of good things going for them, but obviously that's the momentum of being, first ever team in its existence. But and like as you said, Evan, like it was kind of an anomaly year for Vegas. Like they had William Karlsson put up 43 goals, and prior to that, he had never put up really. I think he had like 18 goals in 180 games that I looked up. So just things like that, they're not going to match that. I think they'll come close, but like between the Pacific and the Central, I think there's a lot of team that'll kind of bump them out of a playoff spot, at least for this year.
I think it's a bit unfair too that they get compared to the Golden Knights a lot. I think because that was so recent, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, will the Kraken do as well as the Golden Knights?" And to your point, Mitch, with Karlsson, and I know they made a few trades along the way with the assets they had. I think their first year was very rare. I don't know if we'll see it again in any sports expansion, kind of making it that far. But yeah, I just think I agree. I think they'll be on the outside looking in when it comes to playoff time.
Yeah, I'd say I'd agree with everyone here. They certainly have big shoes to fill compared to Vegas. But going forward, I think they'll be in the mix the whole time. I don't think they will quite make it, but I think Ron Francis has the right idea with how to design a team. You want to build from the back forward. They have a solid goalie in Grubauer and some great defense. And, if they can get some scoring from some unexpected players, maybe Jared McCann can have a Karlsson-esque season this year, then who knows what could happen.
You think McCann's going to have a Karlsson season? You should be very unhappy wearing that Leafs jersey then. We got rid of him.
I know, but I still hope the best for him. I think it was a mistake to get rid of him, and I think he's a great player. So we'll see what he can do.
Also, stat guy here, I looked up some other stats just on Dave Hackstall. He's never won a playoff series in his coaching existence. He played he coached 4 seasons in the USHL. They made the postseason 3 times, lost in the first round. He was assistant coach of the Leafs last 2 seasons, lost first round. Philly, he coached 3.5 years. They made the playoffs twice and lost first round, both of them. So, I mean, he's a great coach, but just like between the young team and it's hard to get some great players out of expansion, like Evan said. I think they'll struggle for the first few years, but as they kind of build up those draft picks and experience of the young guys, I think they'll be a really top contender team in the next few years.
I wonder how much time Mitch spent last night making us look bad researching on Google all these stats. Probably a couple hours.
Nope, I did it right before this call, actually. Figured I'd come with some stats.
You're supposed to say it's off the top of your head, eh?
No, I'm not that good.
Olivia, are we able to, I know you and I are rocking Beast jerseys. Are we able to dig into the Beast connection with the Kraken or what?
Yeah, definitely. That was one thing that I was going to mention, actually, of just like why I am, I guess, following the Kraken or a little bit more interested in wanting to pay attention to them is because of just the connection with the Beast, with Joey Decord and Chris Drieger. Is that how you say his last name? Yeah. Who, you know, as we all know, because we worked for the Beast, the two of them played there. So I think, yeah, that's something that I'm interested in wanting to see them play, and I want to, you know, support them as well. So what do you guys think of that?
I think, yeah, spending a lot of time with the Beast for myself over the years. It's great to see them kind of, you know, make it that far, and both them together on the Kraken's pretty ironic. And to go even further, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think Drieger got put on IR and they had to call up Decord yesterday, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Decord played last night against New Jersey.
Yeah.
Unfortunately lost, but he looked pretty good. New Jersey isn't the strongest team, but I think it was a 3-2 final for New Jersey. But yeah, he didn't look out of place, which is nice to see.
Yeah, I wasn't able to see Drieger. I think I came the season after, but saw a few games of Decord play with the Beast a few seasons ago, and yeah, like not too much to expand, but it's really cool to see because it's rare for players, whether you're a goalie or a player, to make it all the way from the ECHL to the NHL. So to have two goalies from the Beast just within the last few years make it to the same team is a really cool thing to see for sure.
I think we all remember Decord's interview last year that got him a lot of fame and got a lot of attention on social media with the Sens and the post-game interview where he was tearing up. That was good to see, and I think you know, will bode well for him going forward, that he's a big character kind of guy. What about the depth of the players on the Kraken? You guys think I know we touched on the top end guys, but you think they got a lot of depth? Or
That's kind of all you really get in expansion draft is depth players. Like they should have the best third and fourth line in the league pretty much, because that's all the guys they drafted. But overall, I don't know. It's going to be a tough year. It's going to be grind, but I think that Matty Beniers guy they drafted second overall in Michigan, he's been looking nice. That Michigan team is actually stacked. I think they have Owen Power who went first, Beniers who went second, and then I think there's Brad Lambert. Is that right? Is he the other guy on there?
I think so.
Yeah, those guys are just like, I've actually watched some of their highlights. It's insane what they're doing down there. But yeah, it's definitely a futuristic team. I don't think anything's going to happen for the next 2 or 3 years, but that's kind of how expansion team's supposed to be anyways. But it's good that we're watching. The NHL put them on season opener against Vegas. So a lot of eyes were on them. They were smart doing it that way.
So what's everyone's timeline for the Kraken? You know, we always give timelines, like, you know, with rebuilds and stuff like that, but what do we think before they come relevant in terms of playoff or Stanley Cup contenders? What are we saying? 5+ years, 5 years, 4 years?
I'd say they're a lot closer than people think. Just looking, as I said, you got to build from the back out. With Grubauer, net, and the defense they have is solid. I mean, with Larson, Alexiak, and Giordano as a top three, not a lot to complain about there. I think over half the teams in the league wish they had a decor like Seattle does already.
I agree. Their decor is very, very well built.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Jack. That's a great point. And I think they'll be a playoff team in 1 to 2 years, maybe 3. But if we're talking Stanley Cup contender, I think it'll probably be a 5+. You know, they definitely do have a great back end, but just trying to find that scoring touch and adding to the depth. Like I said earlier, it's a lot of young guys. So as they kind of get that experience, I think they'll be really good in the next few years.
Yeah, the only reason I see them being a playoff team sooner rather than later is because of how bad the Pacific Division is. like they're almost already better than all the California teams. And then like I see Oilers winning the division, and then Knights, and then it's pretty much open. Like Vancouver isn't even doing that well. I see them being third. So yeah, they could get go on a little bit of a streak, and they could sneak in. If they made it this year, I wouldn't be crazy surprised, but I don't think it will happen.
Chances are slim if I'm a
Very
betting man.
very slim, very slim.
Yeah, I want to play the optimist and say that they will make it, because I feel like with Vegas, no one saw them coming. Like I don't think anyone expected them really to make the playoffs in their first year, let alone making it all the way to the finals. So the optimist in me is saying that, you know, I want to see the Kraken in the playoffs at least. But
The fan in you, you're a fan.
yeah.
You're a Seattle Kraken super fan.
That too.
You got to get a
Trying to be.
Drieger or Joy Decord Seattle jersey. That'd be cool.
I've honestly looked, like it's the first time that aside from the Leafs where I've actually been like, I want to buy some merchandise.
Mhm.
I
from
love
the
their
Seattle
colors.
Kraken.
I love their colors, the blue.
For a non-traditional team, they look pretty sweet.
Oh yeah,
I
the
think their
jersey's beautiful.
logo is awesome, and I really like that, like just the name, like the Seattle Kraken, I think is just so different. Like would never
Go
have thought of that.
Squids. Go Squids.
I'm rocking the Eberle jersey too. He's definitely my favorite player on the team. As a past Oiler, I even got the little frame there.
Oh,
Little Eberle super
Oh.
fan.
Wow.
That wasn't even planned. That's always been there, by the way. Just for anyone thinking I put that there. It's always been there.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. And so I just wanted to ask you guys, because we've kind of been comparing them to the Golden Knights, obviously, because aside from Kraken, they are the most recent team to join the NHL in the last 4 or 5 years here. Do you think that's fair? Do you think it's fair for us to compare to them?
well, they don't really have a choice whether it's fair or not. That's kind of no matter what was going to happen. If the Kraken were the last couple of years, we'd still be comparing them. But just because they went to the Stanley Cup final the first year, it's probably not fair. But again, it's the exact same guidelines that that the Golden Knights had coming into the league. So it should be a direct comparison. They have to do the exact same thing. I think the managers got a little bit smarter the second time around, not trading draft picks to take some guys. You're like, hey, here's our list. Take who you want. And they don't want to get any picks. Like that's how I think they got Alex Tuck, and who was another Minnesota guy went to Vegas that first year, which was just an insane pick from
Was it Holla? Or was
I think so. And then like they got like Shea Theodore, like like some of the guys they got was crazy for the Knights, and none of that happened with the Kraken this year because I think the GMs were just smarter and they didn't get fleeced.
Also, speaking of the draft, how crazy was it? Like the insiders this year, they pretty much released every player that was going to be on the Kraken before they even did like their broadcast announcing the team. Like it just ruined the whole momentum of it.
It killed the hype a little bit. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think Seattle was too happy with Frank Seravalli that day. Probably went into hiding for the next couple of weeks after that.
I think it's 100% fair to compare them though, in the sense that they started on the same playing field. So in that term, I get it, but to say they're going to make the Cup final, I think is like a one-off and a little ridiculous in my opinion. But
yeah, I'd say it's fair to compare them, but I mean, what happened in Las Vegas is a total anomaly. Like, I don't think we're going to see that again. So I guess I'd say it's fair to compare them, but to expect the same, I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think from like an entertainment aspect too, like the first time that I watched the Knights play was honestly against the game with the Kraken last week. And just watching like the entertainment side of things, like how they do their games like in the arena and all that, I just thought was like really cool. But I've also been following like the Kraken on social media, and I think that just from like the business side of like how they're marketing themselves too has been really interesting. I think like they're in the NHL and it's like a big thing, but for some reason, like in my opinion, I feel like they've kind of captured that small town feel in a way. Like they really are trying to connect with the fans a little bit more directly, like through their posts. You know, they have players who are going on there like thanking them for their support, and you know, can't wait to see you at the games in the arena, and all of that, and just coming out with content like that is kind of humanizing the players a little bit more, I think. And so that's something that I've really liked, and I'm enjoying following them. So I'm hoping that they kind of continue that throughout like their development here, because like it's not just about what's on the ice, it's also about like the experience that you provide for the fans as well. So I think that they're doing a really nice job so far, on that side as well. I don't know if you guys want to comment on that, if you've seen anything.
Yeah, another big thing about the Knights, I'd say as well, is the NHL was so smart to get there first. Like if you look now, the NFL is there, and I think the NBA, MLB are both looking at that market now and saying this is right for a franchise. And the NHL is lucky just that the Knights were there first, and I think they get a lot of credence because of that in the city, and they will going forward.
I think all the major sports leagues could be in Vegas and survive and do well in Vegas. To be honest, I think it's just a matter of time.
I totally agree.
Yeah, so maybe let's talk about you know, new teams coming in to the NHL. Most of them are always in the States. And if you're like me, I really want another team in Canada. So like we've had Seattle, we've had Las Vegas. Where's our Canadian teams? Where are they at? What do you guys, any comments on that? Because I want it here in Canada.
Quebec City has the stadium. They're ready to go. That's what
I feel bad for Saskatchewan, you know. They only have what, the Rough Riders there, so it's like they need a hockey team there, I feel.
Curling Olympic trials are there this year, November 20th to 26th as well. So just heads up on that one. But yeah, like the thing, it's gonna be harder now with 32 teams. Like you're not gonna get another team, you're gonna have to move a team. So it's who's gonna get moved. Like I don't even know. Like Arizona was in the talks for a while. I don't know if they're gonna move up. Like they're gonna be garbage for the next couple of seasons based on what I'm looking at. But yeah, it would have to be a relocation, not an expansion, because I don't think they'll ever go more than 32 teams except for the max.
There was even this was a few years back, but there was like small speculation that the NHL was even looking to put a second team in Toronto, which I thought was crazy. That would have been super interesting to kind of see how that went, and a cool study. But
man, New York has like 4 teams.
That's true. We got lucky with Atlanta relocating back to Winnipeg. There was some pretty cool hype around that. It's kind of cool to be a hockey fan at that time, a Canadian hockey fan. But yeah, for the foreseeable future, I know Carolina was in the gutter for a bit, but now they've kind of picked up. You know, the bunch of jerks and the marketing they've done the last few years has kind of saved them. Yeah, they've really saved themselves. So I don't see them relocating anymore. But I know they were kind of a talking point for a bit there.
Yeah, but the thing with Carolina too is like when they were doing bad, their fans wouldn't come, and then they started getting good again, and then that's when all that came up. It's like, you know, if you're a Red Wing fan, like Wings always had good crowds. You know, we've been in the gutter the last few years and always had those sellouts and whatnot, and even into this year, that's continued. So fans, in my opinion, fans got to be there through thick and thin, kind of like the Leafs too, I guess. You know, the rough years.
Every year is a rough year, bud.
Yeah, but you guys still get the fans, and the fans are still crazy supportive, right?
No, crazy, just crazy.
Yeah. True.
So what, Florida's going to come up then? The Panthers? They're sick, and they still don't have full crowds. It's insane. Like they're probably the best team in the league.
Yeah, that was my thoughts as well. That Miami, like the Florida Panthers, would be the one to move because I think their attendance is like under 6,000 most games still.
Like I think the game was in Florida last night against Tampa, and I could see like empty seats everywhere. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy,
I think they give those tickets away. You buy a large pizza, you get Florida Panthers tickets.
And they're the most exciting team to watch. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. Like the talent they have on that team.
Like put them in Quebec. Oh my God, that would be nuts.
Johnny Huberdeau would love that.
Oh yeah, he would. Yeah. Your Windsor boy Ekblad would be good up there.
Fair.
Yeah, he'd be loving that. They're definitely an exciting team.
Speaking of Ekblad, he's come back pretty well from his scary injury there last year, starting off the season.
Yeah, man, that's been a scary injury. Like it's been happening more and more each season, like the toe pick, and then they kind of collapse their knee
Happened
there.
to Nick Robinson last night or 2 nights ago.
Yeah, it's
same thing. Broke his leg. He's out
Like,
for
game's
like
just
4
so
months.
fast. They have to sharpen their skates more, and like it's just not a good sight. But yeah, happy to see Ekblad make that full recovery. He had I think 2 goals the other night, so he's been hot at the start of the season. So
Team Canada.
definitely.
Oh
If he
boy,
stays healthy.
are we
Definitely.
getting into Team Canada debates? Morgan Riley?
No.
Yeah,
Who's that?
yes.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
no, not a chance.
Over Shabbat.
Yeah, I'd take him over Shabbat 100%.
You'd have him running the power play. It's perfect.
You don't even need a defenseman.
Evan
on that power
Bouchard?
play. He's actually been pretty good. He looks good.
He's really good, man. He was man in the second power play, and
He almost
got 1 or
killed,
2 goals yesterday, so.
Who's their backup goalie last night that Edmonton played? The big guy is like 6'6", 6'7".
Koskinen?
No, the team Edmonton played. Anaheim's backup. The big guy. Solars. Yeah, Bouchard almost killed him
Yeah.
last night with a slap shot to the face. He almost died. Yeah, he's got a bomb.
Good to see him come back in the game there. I wasn't expecting him to come back, but yeah, he took that puck off the head and came back.
Yeah.
If we can just real quick go back to Team Canada, just because the Olympics is coming up, and I know this wasn't on the agenda, but I'll give my thoughts. I think it is going to be a very exciting Olympics, and I think it's worth a debate right now. Who do we think? I mean, I'm obviously going to go for Team Canada, but how well do we think the competition is going to be at this year's Olympics? Maybe I'm saying that because they didn't go the last Olympics and I kind of miss it. But I think it's just going to be unreal for the game of hockey to see that again. And with all the young guys Canada has, I mean, States has a good team too, but I'm just really excited for it.
The States are going to be sick. Like, they're going to be really good.
Canada-US final?
I would say that's definitely the betting favorite. I wouldn't be surprised if Sweden or Russia can never do it. I don't know.
They always have so much talent, but they can never I don't know. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Structurally,
Finland, I think is sneaky good too. Like they always have like Barkov. Like they got some good players, man. Finland does. But yeah, I would be surprised if it isn't US, Canada, unless there's something in I don't know how the rankings and seeding works, but it should be Canada, US in the final. That'd be fun.
Russia's got the best goaltender in the world this time around, though. And a hot goalie's all you need.
It's true. Look what Price did last year with Montreal, though. I'm pretty sure Team Canada is better than Montreal. So I think he'll be fine moving on up. Hopefully he's back by then. Hopefully everything's going on with him. But yeah.
Montreal also doesn't have Panarin, Ovechkin, Kaprizov, Malkin.
Oh boy.
Name me 6 Russian defensemen.
You got a point there, for sure.
Really good forwards.
Sergachev, that's all I know.
Sergachev. Is Gonchar still playing?
No.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Can't even think of
look at that.
I can't even think of any other ones. Can you?
Not really. That's the thing. Russia in the Olympics always have a couple of KHL guys that just end up on the team.
Yeah.
What's his name from the Leafs, who's on Ottawa now? What's that defenseman?
Zaitsev. Yeah, Zaitsev will be on it.
Probably.
But again, like you're talking
That's
about
crazy.
Nikita Zaitsev, and we're saying Thomas Shabbat's not going to make Team Canada defense.
Yeah.
I just looked at Orlov, Zadorov as well,
Oh,
Provorov.
Provorov, yeah.
Kulikov. So it's an average back line.
Very good up front, good goaltending, below average defense.
Yeah.
Imagine those D-men going up against all 4 lines of Team Canada.
Huberdeau, McDavid, McKinnon, first line.
Don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy to see the Chinese hockey team in that tournament too. Like,
don't they play
excited.
Team Canada game 1? That's gonna be crazy. That's gonna be I don't know. If I'm on Team China, that would be a lot of fun though. Like
I'm fired right up.
Like that would be so sick.
probably
you're
know
lining
you're
up against
gonna
Crosby and McDavid. Like
And
how cool would that be?
probably know you're gonna get demolished,
Yes.
likely.
But yeah, I guess just the honor of being on the same ice surface with those guys
that'd
is
be
pretty
awesome.
special. Also, do we all agree on Sidney Crosby as the captain?
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
How
Like
can
not
you not?
McDavid yet, right?
Yeah,
No,
it's
no.
got to be Crosby.
I would
That's
do
coming
Crosby,
from an Oiler fan.
Yeah, Crosby captain, and then Bergeron, McDavid assistant. Or the 3 A's or 2 A's? Just 2, right? If there's
I
a
think
third,
so.
give it to Pietrangelo.
Yeah.
Also, I've got a sleeper prediction. If Jonathan Taves can come back and have a really solid season, I think he's on the team.
He started slow already, though.
Oh, we're 4
Chicago
games.
stinks.
There's lots of time.
What, he's gonna make it over like Couturier, O'Reilly, Stamkos, Tavares?
He's a leader, man. I think he's one of the best leaders in the game.
Locker room
And just
guy,
that
locker room.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the O'Connor of the group, the locker room guy, strictly there for the locker room.
Yeah, glue guy, 13
Yeah.
forward.
Glue guy.
Jonathan Taves is my favorite hockey player.
Really?
I like the number 19 because his number is 19. Like
Wow.
that is why. Yeah, I've followed him since juniors. So
He wears 16 internationally though.
I know. I know, that's good. All right. Anything else that we want to talk about here before we jump into our next segment?
Nope.
Okay. I have a couple things here that I want to get into. So it's going to be just a few questions here, kind of rapid fire round. You can give yes or no answers, and then maybe go a little bit more in depth as to why you think that. But one of the questions I have here to start us off is, do you think that the Tampa Bay Lightning will have a three-peat?
First of all, Kucherov back on long-term injured reserve. What is going on? That's pretty crazy. But anyway, back to the question.
Is that a no for you then, Lorky?
Yeah, that's a no from that. I've never been a Tampa fan.
I'd agree with them. I know we'll get into our picks later on, but I don't have them. I don't think they won't even make the Cup final this year.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say that they manipulate the cap the same way they did last year. They're going to pick up Jack Eichel, and they're going to go on a run. And Kucherov comes back for the playoffs, and they make the three-peat happen.
It's going to be like $22 million over the cap if they get Jack Eichel.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying, I guess.
I say no. They lost their entire third line, which was probably one of the sickest third lines last year with Goodrow, Gord, and I can't remember who else. Was Cord on there for a bit? I can't
Coleman.
Yeah, Coleman, sorry. Like that third line was insane. And that's actually the reason probably why they won the Cup again. And they lost that entire third line. So, and Florida being as good as they are in that Atlantic division is insane again. I'd say no. I'd play the field on that one.
All right.
What do you think, Liv?
Oh, I don't have an opinion on this. This is just for you guys to answer.
You're the impartial judge.
Yeah. I'm Switzerland in this case. I don't have an opinion. But yeah, okay. So next question here. With Carey Price. So what are our I know obviously you guys know just a little bit like what's going on with him. He's kind of taken some time away from the team to deal with just some, mental health and getting better in that sense. Do you see him coming back at all this season?
Yes, I do.
First, yeah. Just to go off that with Price, I kudos the NHL and the Canadians and even Carey Price for coming out with that. Mental health is such a big thing right now, and for everyone in the league to kind of accept that, I think was very great in the way they handled it. But I do think he'll come back, and I'll make a bold prediction that he'll be better than ever. I think he'll come back very strong, and obviously he's one of the best goaltenders still in the world.
Yeah, you don't want to. Sorry, go ahead, Jack.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
I was just going to quickly say, yeah, you obviously don't want to rush anything like that. And, I'm sure he's getting a lot of pressure about the Olympics and stuff, and it's probably hard to keep his mind off that. So, I'm definitely hopeful he comes back, is able to kind of get in some games and then perfect world, he makes the Olympic roster and is able to go to the Olympics. So that's kind of what I'm rooting for. I've always been a Carey Price fan. So I really hope he does kind of make that comeback and is able to make the Olympics for sure.
I think he will come back, and I really hope he does. I think also just there is such a stigma around mental health, which is a tough thing for all of us to talk about, and a lot more of us deal with it than we say. And I think what Carey Price did took a lot of courage, and it really helps fight that stigma. That is, I think, a really important thing in our society to change. And I think he will come back, and I hope to see him on Team Canada.
And yeah, you've seen it, like even Drouin, like his teammate went through it last year, and you've seen him have a really good start to this season. So I think that's going to kind of help. They can talk to each other. So yeah, hopefully positive news all around, sooner rather than later, for sure, for Carey.
Yeah, definitely. I think it just kind of shows you sometimes you just have to step back for a bit to take care of yourself. But yeah, I think just with his performance from last year in the playoffs, he was the reason why Montreal made it as far as they did, in my opinion. And I was really just cheering for Montreal to win for Carey Price. I want him to win the Stanley Cup. So definitely hope to see him back. Hope he's doing well, but wanted to talk about that for a little bit here. So let's get into our picks. What are your your picks for who's making it to the playoffs this season? Maybe Evan, I'll start with you.
You want like full 1 through 8 each division?
Let's do your top 3 picks, of course, for the Atlantic, Central, Metropolitan, Pacific, and then who are your wild card picks?
Okay,
after.
so just to talk. Okay, so
Yeah.
Atlantic, I have Tampa on top, winning the conference, and then Leafs and Bruins 2 and 3. Metro, I have Islanders on top, winning the division with Carolina and Washington at 2 and 3. Pacific, I have Mitch's Oilers winning the Pacific with Vegas and Vancouver at 2 and 3. And then Central, Colorado on top, winning the conference with Dallas and Winnipeg 2 and 3.
What about wild card?
Wild card for the East, Florida, wild card 1 out of Atlantic. Metro, I have the Rangers in wild card 2. So Tampa, Rangers, Islanders, Florida, first round there. And then the West, I don't have any other Pacific teams in wild card. I have St. Louis and Minnesota. St. Louis wild card 1, Minnesota wild card 2. So just 3 out of Pacific making playoffs because that division stinks.
All right, what about you, Larky?
Yeah, fairly similar to some stuff. I mean, the Atlantic's the same. I got Tampa, Toronto, Boston, 1, 2, 3. Metro, I got Carolina taking that division, then the Rangers, then the Islanders. My 2 wild cards there would be Florida, Washington are my 2 wild cards on that side. And then in the Central, I got Colorado, Winnipeg, Minnesota. Pacific, Vegas, Mitch's Oilers, and then Vancouver. I think Vancouver's going to have a good year. And my 2 wild cards also come both from the Central. I have Dallas, and this might be a surprise pick, but I have the Blackhawks getting a wild card spot.
Hey, do you want to change that after their start? Aren't they 0-4?
They are, and I did make these picks yesterday, so I think they were 0-3. But I think they have a good squad. I don't know. They added, with Seth Jones and Marc-Andre Fleury, and obviously got Kane, Taves, DeBrincat. I think they got a solid squad. So Fleury's got to pick it up, though. I have him on my fantasy teams, and
So do I.
good. Yeah.
All right, how about you, Mitch?
So for Atlanta, I have Florida on top, and winning the conference behind.
Sorry, so you cut out the first part, so just say it again.
Sorry. Yeah. So for Atlanta, I have Florida on top, winning the overall Eastern Conference, and then under them in Atlanta, I have Toronto number 2 and Tampa number 3. In the Metropolitan, I have Carolina in the 1 position, Pittsburgh in the 2nd position. I just like the way Pittsburgh's played, even without Crosby, Malkin. And when they get them back, they'll be even better. And then third, I have Philly. I think that conference, the wild card, is going to be a bloodbath between Boston, Rangers, Caps, Isles. But I ultimately have Isles in one position in wild card and Washington in the second one. So I don't even have
Boston missing.
Yeah, Boston missing.
Interesting. Yeah, Mike Sullivan's a hell of a coach, man. Pittsburgh's played so well. Like Jeff Carter is your number one center right now. That guy's 97 years old.
Christian Jarry too has started off the season pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been they're an exciting team too. Like I love Gensel. He's a little honey badger out there, so he's fun to watch.
And if you can keep winning with Malkin and Crosby on the shelf,
yeah, and Crosby's supposed
to once they come back.
Crosby's supposed to come back like this week or next week too. So. Yeah. And then so Central, I have Colorado on top of everything, the entire conference. Second, I have Minnesota. Another exciting team to watch. That's also a little biased because I have Zuccarello and Kaprizov on my fantasy.
You guys watched
team,
that game last night?
I'm pulling for them. I saw the end of it.
Like the Scheifele empty net gets called offside. Minnesota comes back, ties it up, and wins it in overtime.
Crazy.
It was crazy.
They're Minnesota. The city of Minnesota definitely needs that excitement. They've been longing.
Kaprizov like saved that franchise, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, I got Colorado number 1, Minnesota 2, St. Louis 3, and then Pacific we got Vegas number 1, Edmonton number 2. I'm just scared for Edmonton's goalies, man. I don't think they'll be able to keep top of the table, even with Stone and Pacioretty out right now for Vegas. I think they're going to come back eventually, and Vegas is going to pull through for number 1, Edmonton 2, and Vancouver 3. And then wild card both from the Central. I got Dallas and Winnipeg.
Nice. All right. Last but not least, Jack.
All right. So in the Atlantic Division, I have Florida number 1, and I have them winning the conference on the back of their young goaltender, Spencer Knight. Number 2, I have Tampa Bay. Number 3, I have Toronto. In the Metro, I have the Rangers coming out of nowhere and winning the division. Number 2, Carolina. Number 3, the New York Islanders. My 2 wild cards are first Boston and second Washington. Then in the Central Division, first I have Colorado, and I have them winning the West. Number 2, Minnesota. Number 3, Winnipeg. And then in the weak Pacific, I have number 1, Vegas. Number 2, Edmonton. Number 3, Vancouver. And my 2 wild cards are Chicago and Dallas.
So basically, there's going to be 5 teams from the Pacific making the playoffs based on our rankings, right? Because no one had anyone else going through. So you have Bobrovsky, the $10 million backup in Florida.
I think so. I think he'll play okay, but I think Knight's taking the role. It's too bad. Imagine if Florida had that cap space right now. What they could do.
Get Eichel.
Yeah, they could.
Bobrovsky for Eichel, straight up.
I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Isn't he on the shelf this year? Like, isn't he out the whole year? Likely because he needs surgery, right?
Well, that's the whole point of the disagreement. Like, it's what kind of surgery to see how long you're out for. And that's the thing. Even if it's traded for, he still has to get operated on, right? But it's not like a full.
It's Jack Eichel.
Like if it's just like a disc kind of, it's a fusion or like a disc replacement or something like that. I can't exactly remember what it is, but one's much longer than the other, and I think one of them he'll be able to play if he gets traded, it's crazy. He could have had it like 16 months ago.
But he wants the one that takes longer. I think he's against the fusion surgery because there's more risks with it long term.
Yeah.
Yeah. I doubt he suits up for the Americans.
It sucks because he's such a good player.
But it is. It's too bad.
Yeah. All right. Those all sound good. None of you mentioned the Kraken though. Not even as a wild card pick.
Not this year.
No.
They could.
Not this year.
Like they'll hover. I don't know. Pacific. I know Vancouver. If Vancouver doesn't look good, like Mitch said, Edmonton and their goalies. Who knows? Like they could. I don't know. I also think at the deadline they'll be sellers, so they're going to get worse at the deadline.
So do they trade their captain at the deadline?
For sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
Anyone who's on a 1-year deal is probably gone from Seattle, to be honest.
Yeah. And it's too bad because I think they're going to finish like 9th or 10th. So they're not going to get a great draft pick. But they're not going to be in the playoffs either.
Maybe they could tank. They could tank pretty quick.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Just ask the Wings about falling draft picks.
Worked for Toronto.
You think the Wings will get Shane Wright this year, Lurky?
I don't know. Fingers
If that guy
crossed.
goes to Montreal, I'm gonna lose.
Yeah, what's going on with Montreal here right now, eh? Cole Caulfield, Suzuki not doing much right now.
I know. I took
Regressing to the
mean.
mean.
I have Hoffman. I'm hoping when he comes, he's gonna be good for
He's a good
them.
player.
Not a glue guy.
No.
Yeah, no.
All right.
Do
Nice.
we do
Well, thank
Stanley
you for-
Cup final as well? Want to do like finals? Or do we have that?
Yeah, that was going to be my next
Okay.
question was, I was going to say thank you for those picks, but then I was going to say, who do you think's going to like take it? Who do you see in the finals?
I'll go last. I went first last time.
Okay. Jack, you go first then.
All right. Well, I guess I said Tampa's going to three-peat. So spoiler alert, I've got Tampa in there against Colorado, and Tampa's going to win it. And Jack Eichel's going to hoist the cup in a Bolts jersey.
From the press box. They're gonna trade for him, just use his long-term injury relief.
He'll be back for the playoff.
I'm gonna go Carolina versus Colorado, and I'm gonna say Carolina takes it.
I was literally going to say the same thing. So just not to do Mitch. Mitch's pick, I'm going to change it up a bit. I'm going to go Florida. I'm going to go, for the Panthers down there in Florida, and they're going to play Colorado. And I think this is the year that Colorado does it. I'm going to go with the Avs.
I really do think Colorado's gonna be there too. Like it's
Denver
man,
hasn't looked good this year, really, though.
I know, but like that, like
If he can handle
McKinnon's
it.
first game back, like I have McKinnon, Ranson fantasy. They were both -5 last night. I went -10 from 2 players. Anyways, in saying that, I would say, yeah, like I don't see how Colorado doesn't get there, but I think they're playing Islanders. I think Islanders are going to play Colorado, and Colorado is going to take it. McKinnon's finally going to get this cup, and they might trade for Crosby at the deadline because Pittsburgh's not going to the playoffs.
Oh boy.
That's my
What's
crazy.
he get
hot
traded?
take.
What do
Hot
they give
take.
up for Crosby?
Bowen Byram.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know if the hockey world would allow that. A 1-for-1 for Crosby.
Bowen Byram and a first. Does that make you feel better?
A little
He's
bit.
good. He's a hell of a player though, Bo.
He's gonna be a man. Sakic knows how to draft defense.
Him and Makar. Oh,
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that's my pick.
All right. Well, you heard it here first, folks. These are
Was that
our
3
Cosmos
Colorado
predictions.
champions? 3 Colorado champions in the Tampa? Is that what?
3 Colorados, or like, was it Carolina?
I had
Did you say
Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Carolina.
Yeah.
2 Colorado, 1 Carolina, 1 Tampa. All right. So these are our predictions for this season. We'll see how it all pans out. But that brings us to the end of the episode here, guys. So thanks so much for jumping on here. It was great to have you on. Good discussion. Always fun talking about hockey with you guys and listening to your bantering back and forth. It's always fun. But yeah, thanks so much. And to everyone listening, appreciate you tuning in and joining us as well. And we will see you next time. Take care.